many of us think that we know how to stay safe when we swim in the ocean, but it can be a bit more difficult than we think. And OceanFit is delivering a free ocean safety presentation for anyone keen to learn more about the beach environment and safety. And joining me now for that is Andre Slade from OceanFit. How are you, Andrew?
Hi, Dan. Hi, Dan, and welcome to all the Eastside FM listeners on a great sunny day. Beach weather summer's here.
Are you next to the beach there? Is it very busy?
Oh, look, I wish I was. I was there this morning. I was up bright and early with the sparrows at 6 o'clock. We had a nice group and a nice swim down at the beach today. It's great conditions, so yeah, it's perfect beach swimming weather.
That's good. Well, some of us are just scared of sharks when we think about the ocean and swimming in the ocean, but sharks are actually not a real danger compared to the ocean itself. So what would you say to people who think that these sharks are actually the main problem?
Yeah, that's right. I mean, sharks are quite sensational. You know, they look aggressive, and you know, they definitely, when they do attack, they do. Create a bit of a stir, and it's obviously pretty exciting. We have shows like the Jaws franchise that, you know, get people's minds thinking in different ways. But the actual reality is that we don't have very many shark attacks at all in Australia, and very, very few deaths from sharks. And on the flip side, we have a number of drownings on a very regular occurrence around the country that are causing deaths in huge numbers. So yeah, you're a lot more likely to drown is from swimming in the ocean just by the natural conditions than you are by any shark.
Like the currents are just much more dangerous than the sharks who are also trying to swim around there. So you're going to explain people during this presentation what they can do to stay safe. How can you tell if it is actually safe to go into the sea or the ocean? When is it a safe moment, and which spots are you supposed to go in, and what do you need to avoid?
Yeah, I mean, it's a kind of a tricky situation. When you get untrained people, the average person, when you head down to the beach, you look out there and it looks pretty calm, and quite often the calm days, it looks really inviting, but there are hidden dangers there, and to the untrained eye, they can be, deadly, I guess, at the worst extreme. But for the first part of our presentation, we just talk about, the beach is a unnatural or a natural environment, and it can throw up different conditions in different situations with different, wind and swell directions and tides and all those sorts of things. We go right into rip currents. Rip currents are probably the biggest offender as far as people getting into trouble and drowning on our beaches, and so rip currents are a really important thing to look out for, but they're very difficult to spot, and even to some of our trained professionals out there, it's not the easiest thing to spot, but we can do our best, and there's some very easy tips to help avoid some of the dangers that we have in our beaches.
Yeah, so as I understand it, is that the most calm-looking spots are actually the most dangerous ones, but maybe I'm also misinformed. How can you spot them, these currents?
Yeah, so rip currents come in all different shapes and sizes, and depending on the beach types, which we'll go through as well, it's probably a little bit hard to explain on the radio, but there's different rip currents form on different types of beaches and in different places for different reasons. So just that alone, they're a very complex current, and the easiest way is to obviously swim between the red and yellow flags, because the lifesavers and lifeguards are putting those flags in the safe areas of the beach. But if you're down on a beach and you kind of want to have a look around and see where these rip currents might be, you are looking for areas of calm water. Quite often you'll get a deeper, darker colour, because what's basically happening is all the water's coming to the beach with the waves, so you see all the white water, and that water has to make its way back out to sea somehow. It's a bit like, before the water kept coming into the beach, it's got to go somewhere, so it's not just going to keep piling up on the beach, and what it does is kind of forms itself into a bit of what we like to call a river of the sea, and it'll just make a channel and head back out past the waves, and it kind of goes in a bit of a recirculating motion, and that water will eventually come back to the beach again and make its way out. So you can look for it in the calm areas. Deeper, darker water, often you'll see a lot of surfers. That's a good way of pointing it out. Surfers use rip currents to make their way out to the back of the waves, and so quite often the biggest rips and the strongest rips are actually the ones that the surfers are hanging out by.
Oh, they're actually useful for them?
Yeah. In fact, rip currents, I mean, quite often in the media they get talked about as being deadly, and, the rip, you can start talking about RIP, but at the end of the day, they're used probably more by watermen, by surfers to benefit themselves. I mean, the water's making its way out to sea, so it just makes sense to be able to jump in it and get a bit of an elevator lift ride to the back of the surf.
Yeah, I guess many people just want to stay safe, and they want to do everything to just stay safe, and especially if you're with children there. Can't you just stay close to where the beach is and not go too deep, and then you're safe, or doesn't it work that way?
I mean, it kind of works that way, but the conditions are always changing. So, when you first enter the water, the conditions at that time, depending on the tide and some of the sandbanks that form, so what you get is close to shore, the water that's making its way in with the waves is finding its way to these channels that are heading out to sea. Now, to do that, the water's going to head a little bit, parallel to the beach, so it's going to start getting in these side shore currents that we call them. And so, if you're going to all of a sudden find your way out a little bit deeper than you might have been before, and this is what it's like when we're at the beach. We're all having fun and having a good time, and we're not always looking out to sea and what's around us, but and all of a sudden we can get a little bit caught out. And it might just be that a big set of waves come through, so you might get 2, 3, 4, 5 big waves come through, and all of a sudden the water level's risen. You might have been playing around and you're up to your knee length, and all of a sudden, because of all that water's come through with those waves, the water level's a little bit higher. If you're not a big person, or you're not a great swimmer, you can be swept off your feet, and all of a sudden you might be, being pushed along with these currents towards a rip current. So
yeah, you need to stay pretty safe to the sand if you actually want to avoid that, I guess.
Yeah, and you really just want to avoid those areas of strong currents, and the best way to do that is to swim between the red and yellow flags.
Okay, my producer William also would like to ask you something. What do you want to say?
Andrew, we also have some concerns when it comes to, people having fun, as you said, and they don't realize what's going on. And there is also that attitude that it's natural when people that are brought up close to the sea and the coast, I've been to the beach many, many times, so I know what to do. How can you explain to people that it's brought up in the coast, used to the beach, how to avoid danger, identify danger? You're not as strong as you think when it comes to face the sea, for instance.
Yeah, I mean, that's something that you find quite often. I mean, even the dynamics of coastal people these days is changing quite significantly. In the past, people that lived on the beaches, around the beaches, the generations all came from the coast. And now we're seeing more and more, especially with the prices of coastal properties, and that we get a lot of people buying into the coastal areas that haven't grown up by the beach. So that's kind of, to the side, that's a bit of an issue that we're dealing with at the moment around the coast. But I guess you should never overestimate your ability in the water. And I mean, if you've been around the water a long time and you're a regular swimmer, then you should have a pretty good idea of what's going on. But it's those calm days again where you think nothing much can happen today. It's pretty calm, and that's when you can get caught out. So it's really just being aware of your environment, aware of what's going on, and understanding that you need to be confident and keep your fitness up and all those sorts of things, because swimming's the number one. Swimming skills are probably the number one factor in being safe at the beach. Other than you can stop yourself from getting into some of those situations by swimming between the flags and making sure you're at patrol beaches and the like, but it's still really important to have strong swimming skills, and those need to be learned from a young age, right from children, and it's never too late to learn to swim either. So
just about children, actually, Andre. So people are going to the beach, of course, with their children these days. what is the number one thing you want to say to these people, little children?
With children, children are having the most fun on the beach. So, when children go down to the beach, they're not thinking about dangers. They don't understand it. To them, it's just, great, we're here and we can build sandcastles, we can go swimming, it's a hot day. And so it's really up to the parents to be mindful of what their children are doing. And, gone are the days where you can come down to the beach and, the parents sit on the beach and let the kids, run off and swim in the water. You really need to stay within arm's reach of children, especially young children. You've got to be right there, and we always say, keep within arm's reach so that if anything does happen, you're right there to be able to help them out.
Yeah, that makes sense. Well, Andre Slade, thank you so much from OceanFit for your time. And if you're a bit scared after hearing all this, then you may want to go to the information session in the Bondi Pavilion. That is at 6:30 in the evening on the 8th. On the 8th of December, but you need to make a booking for that, which can be done on www.oceanfit.com.au. So www.oceanfit.com.au. Thank you so much, Andrew and Andre, and speak to you later.
Yeah, thank you very much, Daniel, and have a good day,
See you.
EastsideFM listeners.
Thank you.